So our next conversation is going to be about the Linda Jamii run and what the Linda Jamii run is all about. That's what will be happening, the peace run. Linda Jamii presents the peace run on the 16th of December, KICC, that's Kenyatta International Convention Center, from 7 a.m. And the chairman of the operation, Linda Jamii, is Professor Fred Ogola. He's our guest in the studio. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Eric. How are you doing?
Very well.
Yes.
Welcome to the Situation Room again.
Thank you very much. It's the home of the big
conversation.
This is a big conversation about Linda Jamii Peace Run.
Kabisa.
Yes.
You'll tell us all about it.
Yeah.
But first, City will give you the day's proverb.
Actually, I will. Our proverbs for the whole of this week come from the country of Eritrea. If an enemy learns your dance, he will dance it in the crooked way.
If an enemy learns your dance, he'll dance it in a crooked way. What do you think that proverb is telling us, Prof?
It simply means that an enemy is not someone who is meant to do you good. So maybe it means that you're dancing well, and when they come, they want to destroy what was going on well about that dance. For example, if an enemy was to come home and learn how you guys live at home, he might actually be able to poison how things do and try to suggest certain things at home that might actually destroy how relationships work. The same thing, for example, in Kenya, there's a big conversation about people who have invaded our country, who has come to learn about economy, then they propose how economy should be run. Guys have talked about IMF, let's talk about World Bank. They have talked about many people who have come to interfere with our economy. And in fact, yesterday's Business Daily article asked, is the president running the government or the government running him, or someone is running him and the government on behalf of Kenyans? And it was called the leadership question. Yeah, so maybe the enemy has learned how we dance. And they have joined us, and now they are dancing in a crooked way, and therefore our economy is going the crooked way.
To spoil our dance.
Yeah.
Hey. Let's start with the Operation Linda Jamii. What it's about, just in case for the people who have not heard about it, and then we'll come to the Linda Jamii Peace Run. Yes,
Operation Linda Jamii was begun immediately the elections in Kenya were declared the way they went. And we saw that it looked like the country was not stable at that time, and we wanted to talk about how can we really protect the community. I remember that the civil society in Kenya was at its weakest moment. I'm sure if you remember the times when Moi was the president, there was a very strong civil society. And you remember that during that time, they've never had a very strong civil society. So Operation Jamii was found to become an umbrella body of civil society, bring together religious organizations, private sector, to at least help to champion what was missing at that point. Because remember, there's always, we talk about the issue of the estate. The first estate is called the public sector. The second estate has always been the private sector. The third estate has always been called NGO, where civil society sits. And the fourth estate is why we're speaking now, which is the media. So this third estate leg was weak. You know, a stool has four legs. So when one leg is weak, Linda Jamii came to fill that role. And umbrella body here means we have so many organizations that we work with. For example, there's an organization which I have to mention here called Bottom Line Unique Association. Bottom Line Unique Association is here to talk about the issue of economic liberation for communities. They are championing how can you create work and economic livelihoods at the bottom. Of course, it's not bottom up. I have to clarify this. Not bottom up. Because
it's bottom line.
It's bottom line because bottom up is another story. It's a bottom line unique association. So they are working with how to create jobs for people. For example, they are set up a security company, how you can join and maybe serve as security guards because some are looking for jobs for people like that. They have a circle. They also have a saving scheme. But also they do what's called civic education. So you see, these are the very heart of civil, what we call Linda Jamii. And actually I have to mention that on 9th, which is this Saturday, at Green Park, we are launching a national one where people have traveled from Vanga, from Ombaso, from Busia, and trying to see how we can launch this nationally. It's going to be a very big ceremony. I can foresee almost 8,000 people in attendance. I don't know that can afford that place, but we are looking at saying how will that actually happen. So we are partnered with Unique, Bottom Line Unique Association on economic protection, because you cannot protect community when there's no livelihoods. In fact, even one of my best favorite saints, St. Augustine, says, it's even possible to be a Christian if you don't have money. And you cannot be a father without money, because to be a Christian, if you go to church, baptism card sells around 500 shillings. So if you don't have money, even your kids cannot be baptized. So you need a certain minimum amount of economic livelihoods so that you can even be a Christian. So actually, he even recommends that if you are too poor, at some point you can just steal to keep yourself alive. But don't steal too much, just steal enough to keep you alive, to keep you breathing. But some people, when they go now, you grab everything. If you're so hungry, just grab a half loaf of bread, eat, drink water, and survive for tomorrow. Yeah.
You know, I'd be interested in as to why a run. You know, it seems as though it's something we do to commemorate, something we do to grab attention.
Yeah.
But why a run? And then what happens after the run? Because the things you speak of, Prof, are pertinent things.
Yeah.
The country at a place where many say, okay, at the precipice of, you know, jumping into the hellfire or, you know, taking a few steps back and then prospering. But then why a run? And what is it going to achieve?
You see, if you look at one of the most symbolic things that Kenya has ever done very well is running. And this, we call it a peace run.
Oh, athletics, you mean?
Yes,
okay.
athletics. Athletics has really made Kenya proud. In fact, anywhere in the world, when you talk about athletics, I'm sure, even if you're in the US, Kenya comes to mind first. And we are very proud of that. In fact, if you like the like of Eliud Kipchoge, you talk about the I don't talk about them. There are very many people. In fact, I don't want to particularize the name.
Yeah.
So why peace run? The peace run here is because for Kipchoge Keino, Eliud Kipchoge to succeed where they succeed, they need what's called patience, perseverance, resilience, determination, focus, discipline. These are the things that a country needs, not just to win sports, but also economically. And why this run? Remember that this run is not just standing on nothing. After the elections were declared, they went for Mandamano. So Mandamano went to have what's called a quick fix. You know, you have instant gratification by going to the street to throw stones. But there's no resilience there, because you cannot have Mandamano from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. Anytime you go to the street, you actually destroy the economy. You don't help it. And this peace run is trying to tell Kenyans, actually, this peace run will end up with a covenant that never again will it ever allow, and we should not allow as a nation, that someone should go and solve our political, economic, or social well-being using violence. Because of the first liberation was done violently. Maybe it was necessary. That was independence. The second liberation was done using what's called violence again, and that was about constitutional reform. Now we have a constitution. We must live by the constitution, because Linda Jamii is partisan to the constitution of Kenya. It's partisan to what is called professionalism. It is partisan to family values, which is love, of course, the main thing, and also partisan to people's faith. You should live your faith in the fullest. So why are we doing this run? We're doing this run to tell people that if you want to get great things, you must take time. You must be disciplined. You must be focused. You must be resilient. Going to the street in the name of getting any justice is like rape. If you see a beautiful woman, just take time, talk to her. You might date her after 2 years. Be patient. But if you run to rape her, what will happen is that you'll get the instant whatever you want, but it's not going to be sustainable. So if we get peace as a nation, slowly, peacefully, resiliently, with discipline, we'll have a lasting peace. Remember, we have always gone to the street. We have always had these so-called talks. Moi had talks with Raila, isn't it? OMOU. Kibaki had talks with Raila called Nusumkate. Uhuru had talks with Raila. It is called handshake. Ruto has had talks with Raila called bipartisan. All these have happened after violence. So why is this medicine not treating us? Because we are hurrying into getting a solution. As a nation, we have a head of state who is elected. For him to run the country, there must be peace. Economy cannot be run in a violent environment. So this run, and I'm very happy for the Nairobi County, closing the streets where the guys who had Manamano could not access, so that people can run peacefully, to rejoice in it, to show people you can access this place if you are a prince or a princess of peace, but you cannot access it if you are a prince or a princess of violence. So we are creating a nation whereby people will be embracing peace. In fact, that day, we want to have a ceremony with some religious leaders. They'll take a dove and throw a dove in the air. You know, a dove is a symbol of peace everywhere. Remember in the Bible, if you go to Genesis chapter 8, verse 11, Noah was in an ark. And when water was now subsiding, Noah sent a dove to go and check whether the earth was habitable. And when the dove came back with an olive branch in the mouth, it was a sign that the earth is now habitable, greens can grow, and life is back, there's peace, and people could live. And God took a covenant with the world and said, never again will I ever destroy the world using flood, which is violence. So we should take this covenant as a nation. And non-violent has been done before. It has succeeded elsewhere. And I think that it's high time we do it. In my language, which is Luo, we say pesa oluoro koko, meaning money fears noise. So when you hear the dollar doing very well against the Kenyan shillings, which is depreciating, it seems the dollar was coming with the plane in top of Africa, then looking at Nairobi, says Nairobi is too noisy, then the dollar lands in Tanzania, it lands in Uganda, the dollar lands in Eritrea, but evades Kenya. But even Eric, I can tell you, I don't know whether you are married because you never told me, but me, I'm married. Anytime you're not at peace with your wife, at home, money disappears. Mark my words. Because of what? You might go to the bar to drink to avoid home. In the bar, watu watakukunywa, sivyo? They'll drink you properly. When you come home, your wife is not at peace with you and you don't have money. So even as Kenyans, we should fear anybody who brings any form of noise. We are intelligent people. We say Kenyans are educated. Intelligent mind should meet intelligent mind to discuss.
But then,
because
Prof,
eventually, yes,
the message of peace is a good one.
Yeah.
The message of peace, I would dare say, is not a new one. A sort of a procession championing peace is not a new one as well. So what is it that stands out with the Linda Jamii Peace Run that you think will then move us to the next step, where everybody says, before I think of the other alternatives, I must first exhaust peaceful means? What is it that will...
Yeah, first of all, Eric, as a social scientist, there's a method, there's what you call theory of change. When you want to change a society, you must have theory of change. And theory of change, according to me, in this way, takes place in 3 categories. And I'll use Greek because I'm an eloquent guy in Greece. I can speak Greek, I can read it. And actually, these are very open words called pathos. Pathos begins with the word empathy. They are victims of Andamano, people who died. There are people who lost their life. There are people who lost their property. There are people who are injured. There are people who lost their businesses. So when we are doing a peace run, we are calling upon Kenyans to put the little money they have so that we can show empathy with these people as we go towards Christmas. So when you have empathy towards somebody, they open up for themselves. Now you can be able to engage them. Then now the second thing that Linda Jamii has to achieve, which is now called ethos. Now, it has happened before. People have talked about it before. But what makes Linda Jamii unique? Linda Jamii is unique in the sense in terms of the membership. If you look, for example, bottom line, Unique Association has members from all wards in Kenya. And these are people who have a structure. Before someone can just walk on the street, but there's no sustainability. But now we're having organizations which are existing. They have offices at Mfangano House. Even last time we were hosting, I'm sure it was live on KTN, we are hosting people with disability, saying they now stand with it. So we're looking for every vulnerable person in society standing with this move. So we have a structure. We have an organization. Tell me which organization in Kenya exists to champion peace at society level. There have just been groups of people, and you know what a group is. A group can just be people standing next to a stage in a boda, then they walk in the middle of the city and make noise. Who did Mandamano? It was just a group of people who came in kind of hooliganism and they went to the street, isn't it? There was no organization, that's why there was distraction. But here it's organized. We partner with Standard Media. It's being done in an orderly manner, and we have partnered with the county government. We have gone to KICC, booked it. Mandamano, who books a venue? Can you book a street to go and do Mandamano? So, no, you can't. Who will give you the permission? Just go to City Hall and tell them today we want to
alert the police that we will be doing Mandamano
on this route.
Along this route.
Well, I mean, that is not what we are doing now. For us, we believe that is not the way to do things. We need to work with people, because anything which is embedded in society, embedded in an organization, if something goes wrong in KICC, the police can come for me.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Because there was an organization. They had a contract, they had an agreement, isn't it? But now, when people were shot on the streets, whom did you go to? When someone hit the stone with the police and killed him, isn't it? Or kill her, whom do you go to? When someone destroys somebody's business, whom do you go to? So even for me, I'll be held accountable. We can never have leadership with no responsibility. For a long time, we've had people, a lot of power with no responsibility. You can have power to say, let's go to the street. But are you responsible for whatever happens in the street? So when we bring responsibility into what is called now engagement, because it doesn't stop her from telling the president, Mr. President, we are not happy with this and that. But this is engaging him intellectually, and I think this is something he likes, because he even said he wants strong opposition. And strong opposition does not just mean official opposition. Strong opposition can come from anybody who feels that want to bring views on things being done different. So what I'm trying to say unique is the organization around it.
It's different.
Yes, it's different. But it's not just organization by making noise. I've told you, no one you can tell people, keep quiet and they're hungry. I don't know whether you're in primary school. When kids were hungry, they can just start making noise and teacher say, you guys go for lunch, because they're hungry. They cannot do anything.
Yeah.
So you cannot keep people hungry and you tell them to have peace. So this peace is not just peace for the sake of talking for a day. We want to organize another one in Kisumu before Easter. In fact, I've been told by the business community, Kisumu needs this peace run like yesterday. Because if you look at Kisumu, I don't know if you've been to Kisumu, but for me, because that's my home city, Kisumu goes to bed by around 7:30. The streets are closed now. The Kisumu wakes up by around 7:45. Any city that wakes up late and sleeps too early means is dying. In fact, you can know that you are aging if you wake up very late and you sleep very early. When you start having that routine, you must know now you are on your sunset days. So Kisumu needs to be told about peace. And the business community in Kisumu is saying that when you bring this peace conversation in Kisumu, people need to see Kisumu as an investment destination. And that's the only way you can get companies investing in Kisumu to create jobs in Kisumu. Look at what's happening, Eric. Do you know we are losing 189 jobs per day? And I'm not talking about informal jobs, I'm talking about formal jobs, where people earn an average of 120,000 shillings. If that is the job loss, anything that is killing that thing should be taken away from this country.
Where are we losing these jobs?
Well, there are many factors there. One of them is the economy is not doing well, because I've told you we are making a lot of noise. If you go to Kenyan social media, you may think Kenya is at war, isn't it? Go to the social media of South Korea. You find that people are even inviting people to come to visit their country, to invest in their country. When did you see a young person tweeting and saying, please come and visit Masai Mara, it's beautiful? What we are saying, that. We want noise to end so that we can have a peaceful country, but not peace, not cosmetic peace. That's why we are talking about resilience. We are talking about the issue of discipline. Peace must happen in an environment of discipline.
So these events, what we are saying essentially, the peace run in December, the one that will happen next year, essentially what you're saying is that you hope a situation that will catalyze a conversation around peace.
That's why I said pathos, which is now empathy with the people. Then from pathos, we get credibility called ethos. Ethos is how organized Linda Jamii in terms of structure. Then go to logos. Logos is now engagement word. The word logo is word. If you read the Gospel of John, you see when they say in the beginning there was the word. In Greek they say there was logos, isn't it? So logos now, when you engage people to having discussion, where are we going as a country? What is best for us? But before I address you, Ndu, you have to understand. That's why you introduced me, Professor Fred Ogola, isn't it? Linda Jamii. Linda Jamii has done some things people can relate to. So that's empathy. Secondly, credibility. Linda Jamii is an organization that has partnered with Startup Media. I'm sure if we were just any other thing out there, Startup Media could have said, why are we partnering with you? And also you are known for violence. You understand? So Linda Jamii is an organization that champions for peace. That's why Startup Media say, let's sign a partnership to find how we can preach peace, because I'm sure when there's no peace, Eric, I came here during Mandamano. We're wondering, what will the state look like? Where should we go and where should we not go? And you are concerned about it as a media house. And you know very well, when the media house when there's no peace, you have journalists who go out there. Stones can, when thrown, you don't know whom they're going to hit. They can hit anybody. So the credibility that is there, then the word that is there, bringing these entities together will be able to bring peace. And then peace must be brought at the lowest level. And that's why the partnership, the bottom line unique association, which has got all this network. Linda Jamii has them out to the county level, but from there, after they are at the ward level, and championing peace by telling people, peace is coming first before the economy, not economic liberation before peace.
Before peace.
And when you know that peace is a necessary condition for economic liberation, it cannot happen. Look at Korea. They have enjoyed prolonged period of peace. Japan, prolonged period of peace. Tell me any country that has enjoyed prolonged period of economic performance. I'll tell you a country that has enjoyed prolonged period of peace. I know
Kenya
that
is a peaceful country, Prof.
Yes, peace is not absence of war, my brother. Yeah,
What
peace
is it?
does not mean absence of war.
Prof, what is it?
Absence of noise.
Peace is from your heart. That's why even when Jesus resurrected, he said that, yes, I give you peace. May peace be with you. This was peace that Jesus was not talking about like peace because there was a war. He meant that your heart should be at peace. When your heart is at peace with somebody, that peace is very sustainable. But the peace whereby I'm just avoiding beating you because I might be arrested, that is not peace. That is just the violence inside your heart.
It's still there.
It's too much. And then, Eric, allow me to give an analogy. You know, when you have a hammer, everything next to you looks like a nail. Do you know that? So we do not know that the hammer we use for bringing independence also brought for us constitutional reform. But that hammer can't bring for us economic liberation. And that hammer is Mandamano.
Okay.
So we have to know that Mandamano has taken us so far. And that's the farthest can take us.
It's time to put down the hammer.
Now put down the hammer and pick our heart, isn't it? And agree, what is the Kenyan dream? Where do you want to go?
Okay.
How do we get there? What are the necessary conditions for getting there? And that's why this peace marathon is beginning of it.
Have you invited the main leaders of the political groupings? Because you're saying now this one is showing a difference between Mandamano. Let's say, let's stop Mandamano. Let's stop thinking that this hammer that we used in the 50s, in the 60s, in the 80s and 90s is the same one that we need to use in the 2013.
Yeah, of course.
Are they invited? Is Raila invited?
They are not invited.
Is Ruto invited?
They are invited, but not in their capacity as political leaders. They are invited as Kenyans, because that day there are no speeches. It is something symbolic. The marathon is symbolic. Remember, a marathon takes long, like the 40-kilometer marathon. We even made it 6 kilometers so that anybody at a certain age, isn't it, can still participate. Like my son, who is 6 years old, he is really waiting for this one. He says that he must go. And I think he can do 6 kilometers. Maybe if it is not possible, let someone advise me if there's medical reasons why. And I believe that even at old age, you should be able to try it out. You can walk at a pace. It is not really competitive marathon because we are not competing with each other, because Kenya should run as fast as the slowest person in Kenya, because we don't leave anybody behind in such like things. But they are invited in their capacity as Kenyans, and that's why we are sending out invitation. We don't want to say come as head of state, because then it becomes a state function. It will become the symbol of the state, what they call the national breakfast, whereby it becomes a political campaign day. I don't want to make speeches because, see, in Kenya, we are from every walks of life. You from political divisions. We don't want to start saying, oh, this. We just want to make a symbolic thing. We'll read a prayer. We'll thank people. Then we throw the doves up there as a symbol. Then there'll be some artists performing something to do about peace.
Okay.
Remember that there's a song which is being formulated by saying something about never again shall we do this and that.
And those people need to be there, Bwana.
Well, I mean, they are invited, but now not as head of state, not as head of.
You can invite them as head of state. They just don't have to make a speech. Can invite them as leader of opposition.
What I want to find out is, how do you invite the president and he comes and not as president?
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm having a challenge.
He doesn't have to make a speech. He can come as president.
Like all of you are invited. All Kenyans are invited.
I've seen Uhuru Kenyatta as president being invited to the Nairobi Expressway. What's it called?
Yes.
And he goes and he doesn't make a speech. Or the first lady's marathon.
Maybe
No
what
speech.
I can ask is any Kenyan listening to me, if they have any way on which we can invite them to come, but not as head of state. Because
As
it is
a Kenyan.
difficult as a Kenyan just coming. Because I remember President Uhuru Kenyatta with the first lady, former first lady, Margaret Kenyatta, she invited the husband, but as a husband. And he came as a husband. And he performed very well as a husband in that marathon or Beyond Zero. And for me, that was amazing. So the fact that I'm not related to the first family is difficult for me. If this marathon was organized by someone from the first family, it was going to be easier. But I'm not anywhere near them. Me, I'm just a Kenyan with good dreams, with good ambitions. Maybe not exactly, I don't know how I'm doing it, but I think God is the one which will make the day look. I don't have even a picture of how it will look like. Of course, I have a program. I've taken care of the security. I've taken care of the function. There's a whole book and KICC where people can sit and discuss and talk, and there's a place where this performance will take place. But how exactly it will happen, I think God is still making so many things, because I'm seeing so many suggestions coming, people coming to volunteer, to support. So I'm very happy. In fact, I want to really thank the organization that I'm talking about that has really helped us, because in there they are going to mobilize for us around 6,000 people to come. I was able to meet with the Justice and Peace Department of the Catholic Church, and they would not be able to say that they are going to come, but they say that they like the initiative. How they are going to come to support, they are still working on it. But I'm being told, with the permission from the local order, the Catholic Church, I like it because of the fact that they have a very unique structure how they work. If you give analogy allowed here, the Catholic Church looks like a rhino. When you go to the forest, you can see a rhino grazing. You can throw a stone at it, and it doesn't get excited very early with the first stone, the second stone. But when the rhino gets excited and started charging, the scale and the impact is there. So I'm very happy that they had allowed us to throw the first stone, the second stone. And I'm sure as we go by and they realize that, because people are still asking, can you really have a peaceful marathon? Because the issue here is not, the issue here is people have been doing marathon, but this is a peace marathon. So guys are still saying, how will it look like? What is the organization? And the Catholic Church cannot just jump easily, the same as ACK Church. Those big people, they are more of stability is important. Even head of state, a head of state has never seen a peace run, because this is the first of a kind. In fact, if you ask Linda Jamii has done things, what you call series of firsts. It is the very first civil society to ever sponsor a bill that talks about changing constitution to help people really see the success. And in fact, the same very first civil society that is organizing a peace run to really empathize with the people who have suffered under this. civil society, the very first one to take a petition so that people who suffered victims of Mandamano will be compensated the case in court. So this series of fasts, people still have to know, where are we going? What's spiritual concept? Are we trying to create a third force or something? No, guys are still very wary, but they don't know that our main concern is people and the economics that is surrounding them. So, in fact, if you want to know, if you go on Saturday, when we are going to launch the Unique Bottom Line Association, which is taking place on 9th Saturday from 9 a.m. at Green Park, you'll see, for example, the Director General of this organization, which is a nationwide, he's called Rehoboam. He's going to make a speech about how this thing is going to be a long haul. We have the...
So there's going to be a speech.
We have Secretary General...
You said there are no speeches.
No, this is about the launch of the association, which is taking place on 6th.
Okay, I get it.
So the Director General, whom is my partner, is going to make a speech about how we want to go this to ensure people can live well with money also. How do you create economic activities in our organization? And that's why because we want to put money in communities and economic activities in communities, there must be peace, because they say in Luo that only talk if something of yours is being rained on. If nothing of yours is being rained on, you care about nothing. But if you have something outside there in the rain, you care. The other thing we are launching is women initiative called Linda Mama. This is not Linda Mama with all this healthcare thing. It's about we are bringing some raw materials. I don't want to go detail. Bringing some raw materials from outside the country. We give these women how to manufacture them and produce some materials, produce some goods out of them and sell them, so that we can actually have local manufacturing. We are working in the Juakali sector on how we can ensure that Juakali becomes the next cottage industry, because Chinese economy grew out where someone knew how to make a toothpick to his neighbors, then manufacture in scale and export. Somebody knew how to make a stone crusher. Then the stone crusher was made to be manufacturing. So if you go to your Kali sector, you can see very unique things being manufactured there. How can we help them to scale? And being a professor of business, because that's what I had studied, I know how you can do this, and being an economist as well. So I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life in economic governance and business, acumen to these people. And I can tell you, Eric, you'll be shocked how many people will come to produce, how many people will have to get employed, and how much this can grow the economy. That's why I was...
Can I ask a question, Professor?
Yes.
Have you had any conversation with the Ministry of Industrialization?
Not yet, because as you can tell me, I don't know whether you have ever tried to meet any government official.
Actually,
the letter writing.
I don't have a problem meeting government officials.
I have. Yes. I've written letters. For example, I'm a CEO of an organization called Africa Health and Economic Transformation Initiative. We have written letters to the government on how we can be able to help manufacturing of pharmaceuticals. Getting these people is not an easy thing as you think, because first of all they say, "Who are you? What are you capable?" Sometimes say, when we do this thing and we even do this public launch and they see what we are doing, you prove concept. They watch you first. You know, a government cannot just jump in what you are doing. Like I told you, they get excited a little bit more when they know what you are doing. No one joins a startup. Everyone wants to join something which is a going concern. So at the moment, don't want to bother them too much by saying, let's meet, let's talk. But you see, once they see what we are doing is making sense, then they can actually join us when that time comes. Remember, even Jesus began only with 3 disciples, then they walked around and he got 12. Then eventually, he built the whole Christianity, which is the largest organization in the world. Even bigger than Google, bigger than if you like IBM. But he began just like a joker who was preaching that even the Jews wanted to push him off the cliff. So for us also, we're at the point of being pushed off the cliff.
No, but Prof,
time has not come for that. I'm sure we have to prove the concept.
Prof, allow me just to ask the question.
Yeah.
When you say you're being pushed down the cliff, how? I mean, if you have been, for instance, you have licensure to hold the run.
Yeah.
Your activities, you come to the media, you talk, people attend meetings. That doesn't look to me like you're being pushed. If there's pushback is not pushed.
Yeah.
Pushback is when people are not certain about what you're doing, and some want to know. Some may know exactly what you're doing and may want to derail you.
Yeah.
But if the numbers were enormous, then this peace run wouldn't take place. 1, 2. this is not the first peace run we've had in the country. There's a lady called Tegla Lerupe who actually championed. Hers was a 10-kilometer race.
Yep.
And it starts off in Kapenguria. What you are doing is a first because yours is an economic one. Yes. Hers was literally
Peace.
yes, coming up from warring communities who are fighting. So it was stop this physical violence that you have. Yours is a completely different one here. So yes, it is a peace run, unique in itself, but not necessarily the first one. Prof, any idea that is new or any idea that has been successful, their story will not be different from the one you're telling.
Yeah.
The pushback is often enormous. The naysayers are usually very many. And you're right when you say that people will want to join when they can see it is working. Okay? We had the PS who is in charge of industrialization. And the reason why I asked the question was because here in the studio, it's for a simple reason. I hear the government talking about jump starting and creating situations where we will industrialize. And where you are 100% right, these countries that industrialized began with cottage industries. The skills, the base for the skills which were then upgraded took place.
Yeah.
So by the time they talk about manufacturing and creating, people already had the knowledge. They simply upgraded it. But we don't seem to be doing that.
Yeah.
No, we don't seem to be focusing on getting this, and you call it correctly, juakali, fine-tuning their skills so that it can be upgraded. Because already they have skills, you can see.
Yeah.
They're already creating, you can see.
Yeah.
Now, how do you get to the point where it's already an industry, but now you get it into large-scale manufacturing? How do you get it there?
You first of all answered your question when you said, why have I not invited them? And you told me I'm not getting pushback. I would like to say that your proverb today says the same thing. If an enemy comes to learn your dance, isn't it? Then he'll make your dance go crooked. When the head of state comes, they are head of state. They'll take over the function.
He's not an enemy.
No, it's not an enemy. I'm not trying to say enemy here does not mean necessarily an enemy, but saying an outsider, isn't it? Analogy allowed here is that it will become a state function, and what we wanted to achieve was not for a strong man, was just for a weak person trying to achieve things in a very normal way. Just like Jesus was a king, but was not a king like Herod. So
you want this basically to be citizen-led.
We just want to be citizen-led. The government joins later. Of course, we are in goodwill. For example, the Bottom Line Unique Association is working very closely with the government. In fact, we have signed an agreement saying we work with the government all the day. We will not say this government is from which side on the other side. We have to work with all government. Remember, you cannot do anything without government.
Prof,
and that we acknowledge. Then on the point you talk about the issue of the cottage industries, this book called Solomonic Economics has actually illustrated that very well and very easily, how this can happen. We need vocational training to be done in this country. Not training, for example, teaching people to write research. Americans have done that. But Chinese went to train what's called tooling engineers. Like if you look at this, my very beautiful iPhone, how to put these cameras together, American can design in with a computer. But the Chinese are the one who knows how to put those things together. That's why China is the manufacturing hub of the world. Everything made in China. I might not be surprised if nearly all equipment in this studio are actually made in China because they know how to put things together. So we have to build that industry. That's why 2 weeks ago, our Eastern College of Technology graduating people from Juakali industry who have taken some studies on business, like, for example, financial management, bookkeeping, simple things. In fact, we have come with a technology whereby we want to go to every circle and make them Solomonic compliant circle, whereby a small thing you start, you must have a financial model. For example, you're telling them, for any business you do, 30% save, 30% invest. Remember, investing and saving are different. And 30% pay yourself, 10% put into somebody, for example, your son for education. And this model is what made the Jews become who they are. So we are just using a Solomonic ways on how you can make communities work. And God says in the Bible that my people suffer because of lack of knowledge. So knowledge will be important. We have been having booklets which are just 3 pages to guide you on the key things you need to do. So we are not just going to blow. I used to teach executives like CEOs. I've taught them in Strathmore. I've taught MBAs. But now I'm realizing that the more I'm teaching these MBAs who are middle class, resting in their nice houses, not caring about the common man on the streets, I have to shift and take my education to that common person and be next to them and help them how Solomonically they can create all these things. And as I can tell you already, do you know how Huawei became a global power?
No.
The owner of Huawei went and approached the president of China and told him, can you just allocate 2% of the GDP or budget to technology in this country? By that time, China was importing 98% of anything technology from the US. Now China is exporting not just to the US, but even to us. So these people will come when we are organized and we have a structure and they know how we can engage them. But if we are disorganized, it's becoming difficult to even the government to come in to help us. Government just come and see chaos. That's why Hustler Fund is more of a handout. It's no longer anything to help economic well-being. And that's why I don't subscribe to bottom up, but I subscribe to bottom line, because bottom line is supporting the people at the lower spectrum of the economy, but they should be given injection. When you give somebody money who do not know what to do with it, it doesn't help them. Start with knowledge first. Knowledge always should come first. In fact, even God told us in the catechism that first, know me. Second, love me. Third, serve me. Fourth, let us be happy. But when you start by serving me, by giving me Hustler Fund, you don't even know me. You've given me Hustler Fund through technology. You don't even know me. I go buy changa with it, isn't it? Because you didn't know what I'm going to do with it. But let's start by giving people knowledge. Let's know what we are putting money on. Because the question was asked in studio when I was there. Have you told these people where to put Hustler Fund? They said it does not matter. Kenyans know where to put money.
Can I ask you, Prof?
Yes.
Because all of this started from the premise of peace.
Yes.
Do you think that Kenyans generally have the desire to live peacefully? I think, having seen the conflicts, having seen the situations that arise in very many other countries, I think generally Kenyans would want to be in a situation where peace prevails for other things to happen. So as you're doing this, do you think that Kenyans would generally aspire to or want to be in a situation where relatively there's peace at all times? That would be a great place to start from.
I remember there's a story which was told in my village that a night runner has gone to Nairobi and has written a letter back to his parents saying, Daddy, I can't live here because there's too much light, because there's nowhere to run. Which means that there's even night runners want an environment that is conducive for their game. Means that even a thief wants peace to be there so that they can invade a company. You know, during Mandamano, even thieves found it difficult to steal because you might find that somebody is hiding something with a stone. So I believe Kenyans, even the worst of them, have desire for peace. Even evil people in themselves, they love peace. The only thing is that they don't know how. In fact, there's an article I wrote on how can you give voice to your values. You need peace, but how can you give voice to that value of peace? So the Linda Jamii Marathon is the showing of how do you do that, and bringing those conversations to become things that can be discussed nationally. The issue about resilience, about patience, about what you call considerations, about thinking about the other. These are conversations we want. And Eric, you'll allow me to just say how you can participate in the
please.
Linda Jamii Marathon. So Linda Jamii Marathon, which is coming on 16th of December, you can participate in 4 ways. The first way is there's a link, you can register and come and attend the marathon.
Okay.
The second way is that we have merchandise that you can buy, which is a t-shirt, is a hat and a wristband. In total, that package costs 1,800. By doing that, you're supporting victims. The third way you can participate is that we have a pay bill number, which is a 4112-60665. That pay bill number, you can put anything you have. It can be as little as just 10 shillings. It can be as more as 10 million, but not billions. I'm sure we are not yet ready to handle billions. Just a few millions can help us feel victim. And the fourth way is all the three above.
All of the three and turn up.
Yes.
The pay bill number again, 411-20665.
No, 4112
Okay.
0665. I don't know whether if I
That's
show
what
you
I've
on the
just
screen.
said. Just that I didn't say it that way.
Yes.
411-0665.
Yes.
Asante sana. Professor Philip Ogola talking about the Linda Jamii Peace Run, 16th of December at the KICC from 7 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.